Epigenetics started to take quite an interest for many sciences, and it is now thought to be the key of many diseases, be it physical or mental. But what is epigenetics, and why is it interesting? I'm Atika Nurani, and today I will try to introduce it all to you. Let me start this presentation by asking you a simple question. How do you pronounce this word? Now, depending on how you break down the word, it could be either unionize or anionize, the exact same letter sequence, but different meaning. Now, let's look at these two sentences. Let's eat grandma and let's eat grandma. Both sentences have the exact same word sequence, but they both have very different meaning, thanks to the punctuation marks. The similar thing happens to our DNA as well. Our DNA is a double helix, consists of long sequence of 4 letters. Scientists used to believe that this sequence is the key to how our cells function, and the alteration to the sequence is the main cause of how diseases can occur. If that's the case, then identical twins, like these two actors who played the Weasley twins in the Harry Potter series, should look exactly the same, since they have the exact same DNA sequence. But they don't. This is because they have different DNA punctual marks. Epigenetics is a study about these DNA punctual marks. These epigenetic marks affecting the production of specific proteins, like an on-off switch, without changing the DNA sequence. Just like punctuation marks could change the meaning of a sentence without changing any letters or words in it. The change in epigenetic marks have been found to be responsible in a wide range of diseases, such as many types of cancers, autoimmune diseases like type 1 diabetes, and neurological diseases like Alzheimer's. Scientists have also found that the influence from the environment could also change these epigenetic marks. Many studies have found that the children who went through heavy trauma have different epigenetic patterns compared to children who didn't experience any of it. Similar thing happened with people diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD. PTSD is acquired following exposure to a stressor perceived as threatening to the integrity of oneself. This exposure will lead to many symptoms like flashbacks and negative thoughts. Although the majority of individuals in the general population are exposed to such stressors, only less than 10% will develop PTSD. Epigenetics are also thought to play a role in the increased risk of someone to develop PTSD after exposure of such stressors. Major trauma and stressors have effects on epigenetics. But how about everyday stress? Now, let's take one example. In the world where the demands of productivity seem to never end, many people develop chronic work-related stress. A study on the relation between work stress and epigenetics in nurses found that the epigenetic marks around the gene for the transport of serotonin, which is a hormone known as the happy chemical, is different between nurses who have high or low stress. The change in the serotonin transport gene makes serotonin to stay less in the brain. While in short term it helps to preserve the ability to think and make decisions, but in the long term it manifests as a failed coping mechanisms and increased depressed mood. So far, there have been few medicines developed to reduce this reuptake of serotonin. They are currently used to treat anxieties and depression. Other medicines to target epigenetics to treat other mental disorders and diseases are also currently being researched and developed. One of the difficulties in the development of medicines targeting epigenetics is that the medicine has to work on a specific part of the DNA, while leaving the other parts unaffected. This type of specificity is hard to obtain in a drug development. The other is that there are high variability of epigenetic patterns. There are many factors that could affect our epigenetics, from gender, ethnicity, to lifestyle habits, and even ancestry affecting these patterns. There needs to be more studies with bigger samples to detect rare patterns and to include more people from different backgrounds. Multidisciplinary approach is also needed to understand the impact of outside stressors, be it economic crash or social injustice, to our epigenetics. With the research on the drugs, targeting epigenetics starts to get the push it needs. So does the basic study of epigenetics. In recent years, new types of epigenetic patterns have already been discovered, with more thought to exist. These new patterns are directly affected by our lifestyle, mainly the food that we consume. While currently we are still scratching the surface, many have thought to use this knowledge to explore nutrition-based therapeutic approach. Currently, this is done to support the existing treatment, especially in cancer. But there is hope in the future that this could give rise to a more personalized diet to improve both our physical and mental health. Thank you.